Welcome back to EBnet Stream, everybody. This afternoon's discussion and announcement of the postponement of Budget 2025 came as somewhat of a shock. I thought I would catch up with Izak Odendaal, the investment strategist at Old Mutual Wealth, to get his thoughts on the topic. Thanks for joining us, Izak.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, this is a bit of an impromptu chat, so thank you for taking the time out of what I'm sure is a very busy afternoon. Was this postponement, initially called a cancellation, then changed to postponement, was it expected at all?
No. This was the last thing everyone expected. I mean, look, let's be fair. The budget every year runs like clockwork, and it's always been a very well run issue. I mean, there have been postponements before because some parties were demonstrating in Parliament, and we've had those kind of postponements. And we've had a couple of years ago, the MTBPS was postponed as well, but that was a few weeks before the actual event was supposed to take place. So no, cancelling the budget at the last minute is not normal procedure.
And I think because it's not normal procedure, it certainly sparked an element of panic in myself. And I would regard myself as an average investor. So having thought about that and reflecting on that, markets and their movements this afternoon?
Yeah, so we now are about two hours after the fact. I mean, the rand's weaker today. It's about 1% weaker than it was this morning. I think markets don't like uncertainty. This was certainly a surprise to markets. I think that the market is a little bit worried now, not so much about the budget, but about political stability. Is this a fight in the GNU? Is the GNU going to fall apart over this issue? I think that is probably the bigger concern at the moment, because the budget that was supposed to be presented today, I think, was actually pretty good from a market's point of view. Obviously, the sticking point, we believe, was that the GNU partners were not happy about the 2% increase in VAT. It might be that the sticking point was actually that they were not properly consulted about the increase, not so much the increase per se. But I think the markets should have been happy with the budget overall, because if you look at the deficit projections that was in this document that was released today, but we don't know, we're not going to call it a budget, but this document, I think that was pretty good from markets' point of view. It was on track with the fiscal consolidation story, the commitment to reducing government borrowing over time, to reducing the debt ratio, and importantly, to boost growth, because ultimately that's what's going to get us out of this fiscal hole. Is we need an economy that's growing a lot faster than it has been over the last couple of years. So I think I can imagine that people are unsettled by this, and obviously a lot of people have had to change their plans last minute because there are a lot of budget events all over the country. But I don't think this is reason to panic. I think the underlying message, and I think all the GNU partners agree on the fact that we need to reduce borrowing and we need stronger economic growth. I think there's maybe disagreement on sort of the exact mechanisms of doing that, but I think the underlying principles everyone agrees on, and I think this budget would have demonstrated that we're still on that kind of gradual path towards a more sustainable fiscal picture.
So I'm glad you talk about the words agreement, and the fact that the budget was, in your mind, robust and certainly on the right path. It leads me to kind of a logical or illogical conclusion, perhaps, that maybe today's decision is less fiscal and money based and more political based. Is this a kind of a politicking tactic from certain parties to say, you will consult with us before releasing important information like the budget or making changes like you plan to do in the budget?
Yeah, look, I'm sure the journalists will tell us the full story in the days ahead, and I'm sure it's quite an interesting story. But at this stage, I think that is the correct view, is to say that this was more around the politics of the budget than it was about the substance of the budget. And I think parties generally agree on the substance of the budget. And I think that is still positive. I mean, the reality is this is the first budget under a coalition government. There was obviously a medium-term budget in October, but this is the first full budget under a coalition government. And I think there is definitely still a sense, I think they have to get used to the arrangements of how to agree on a budget in cabinet and then take it to parliament. So hopefully this is the last time that we have a very last minute cancellation. It might not be the last time that we have a kind of 11th hour discussions within cabinet, within the parties around the budget.
Your views and opinion on the ripple effects into offshore investors and overseas investment, which we so desperately need?
Look, the reality is other countries have similar issues. And other countries have different budget processes. I mean, the US is case in point. I mean, they're the biggest economy in the world, and their budget process is extremely chaotic. And they're constantly fighting about the debt ceiling and so on. So I don't think at this stage it changes anything for foreign or domestic investors. I think what would really start worrying us and international investors is if firstly, the coalition government falls apart over this issue, which I don't think will happen, or secondly, if they then whatever they agree on is a budget that actually increases debt levels and moves away from that strategy of fiscal consolidation. So I think that's kind of what would really worry people. In the meantime, I think we should just treat this as noise. It's unfortunate. It's not ideal, but I think at this stage it's just noise.
Which brings me to kind of wrapping up our conversation this afternoon. Your advice for the average investor like myself in retirement funds, and what I'm kind of saving for my nest egg for my old age.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, I think don't respond to this event. We don't have any new information that would necessitate any change in investment strategy. So I think for the ordinary investor, it's very much, just stick to the plan, stick to your strategy. Nothing has changed because of the budget being cancelled. The budget will be tabled on the 12th of March. The tax tables will change, all that good stuff, that we normally get with the budget every year. All of that will change, and I think basic financial planning principles definitely still apply.
Thank you very much, Izak. Thank you for taking time out of your day with us today. And let's look forward to the 12th of March.
Thank you. Bye-bye.